Have you ever been on a drive and seen solar panels on someone's house? Or been kind of in the middle of nowhere and you see a field covered in these ginormous panels, covering every square inch of land? Well, those solar panels are conducting solar energy. As we live in a world that is fighting climate change because of the actions we do every day, scientists have tried to find better options to produce usable energy, which came solar panels. Starting around 2010, because of an increase in government funding, solar energy had a boost in popularity. Climate change has been a really serious issue for decades, but since the 2010s, the United States has started taking some actions towards helping our issues. Our reliance on fossil fuels have become a problem, as fossil fuels are not renewable. The fuels will run out at some point in the future, and it has been our job to figure out some other options for us to rely on to keep the lifestyle we have currently. So how do solar panels work? According to the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, it is explained as, when the sun shines onto a solar panel, energy from the sunlight is absorbed by the PV cells in the panel. This energy creates electrical charges that move in response to internal electrical fields in the cell, causing electricity to flow, or concentrating solar thermal panel. CSP systems use mirrors to reflect and concentrate sunlight onto receivers that collect solar energy and convert it to heat, which can then be used to produce electricity or stored for later use. It is used primarily in very large power plants. The process of solar panels is pretty simple, but an efficient way to get constant energy. As spoken about, there are two types of panels to energy processes: photovoltaics, PV, and concentrating solar thermal panel, CSP. Later in this video, we'll discuss the impact of both of these. If the whole idea behind solar energy is to be earth-friendly, the panels would also fall in line with that, right? Well, continue watching the rest of this video to find out, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. To start off, what are solar panels actually made of? EcoWatch published about the more popular PV panels. To start, virtually all solar photovoltaic panels use crystalline silicon wafers as the main component material. Silicon is used to create semiconductors for about 95% of all solar panels in the market today, with the other 5% using experimental and in-development technologies, like organic photovoltaic cells. However, Renewable Energy World spoke a little about the materials for CSP, the less popular panel. Underneath the silver is copper and other protective layers. The film is bonded to an aluminum substrate to form the collectors. The company uses an additive to make acrylic more resistant to UV ray damage. A mirror's effectiveness depends on its ability to reflect light. As stated previously, CSP panels are not used as frequently as PV panels, so we're going to focus more on the PVs today. With solar power energy doing a lot to drag us away from relying on coal and oil, the energy panels have a fault. The recycling process for them is kind of complicated. It's a yes/no. As it's been said already in this video, solar power is perceived as a constant. But did you know solar panels have a lifespan? With technology comes the bad parts. To make it a little simple, I'll use an example. When you buy your phone, it comes with all the bells and whistles and runs super smooth. But when newer models come out mixed with more advanced system updates, it almost seems like that brand new cell phone is slowing down. Well, that cell phone is slowing down because it cannot handle the wear and tear. It has a lifespan. Solar panels are like cell phones. It has a lifespan. Technology isn't infinite. Most sources have stated that the normal lifetime for a solar panel is about 25 years. However, this is a common misconception. 25 years is the warranty time span, but most panels usually last 30 to 40 years. So once the lifespan of a solar panel ends, where does it go? If you're curious about where solar panels are recycled, then please keep watching and give this video a big thumbs up. If you enjoy this educational content, please hit the subscribe button and press the bell to get our notifications. Alright, back to the video. How do solar panels get recycled? For a typical solar panel frame, 80% of the material that makes it up, examples being glass pane and aluminum. But the other 20% are materials that make it harder to recycle, such as silicon. There's usually about a 3-step process to recycling these types of silicon-based panels, which takes up about 90% of the solar panel market. According to the EPA, these are the steps: removal of the frame and junction box, separation of the glass and silicon wafer through thermal, mechanical, or chemical processes, and/or separation and purification of the silicon cells and specialty metals, silver, tin, lead, copper, through chemical and electrical techniques, which is sort of a tedious process which can cost recycling plants a lot of money. The EPA added a few more details that are important to the steps. These processes typically involve crushing, shredding, and milling, usually after removal of the frame and junction box. In these processes, glass, aluminum, and copper may be recovered, and the other materials, including silicon solar cells, may be incinerated. As we can infer, these processes aren't easy or subtle, but take human labor and machine work to process, creating a whole other section that costs the companies more than they would prefer. So with these financial pressures, a lot of solar panels have ended up in landfills, which kind of contradicts the whole fighting climate change, making the Earth a cleaner place thing. If in some ways it just falls right back onto what it's fighting. Landfills are bad for the environment because of the major pollution they cause. Unisan says landfills are bad for the environment because of rubbish buried in landfills breaks down at a very slow rate and remains a problem for future generations. The three main problems with landfills are toxins, leachate, and greenhouse gases. With solar energy seeming to have a dull future, there does seem to be a glimmer of hope to keep out of the landfills. There are ways to reuse solar panels. How can we reuse solar panels? There are a multitude of ways to reuse solar panels, starting at the home ones. A great starter one would be using the old solar panels to power smaller projects that need energy. So, taking an old panel and using it like an old shed. Now the tools and light can be powered by a more eco-friendly source. Or you could use it during camping trips to charge phones and other things needed for electricity. Some people even use old panels for things like furniture and making new projects, like a fence or doghouse. It has multiple uses, but you aren't fully reliant on it. You could also look into donating them, which would be a good way to help another person start a smaller project or finish their already big project. As on other platforms, there seems to be a bigger solar panel market. Now there are regulations for safety that would affect the refurbish of solar panels, but overall there seems to be a lot of helpful uses. As we can see, solar energy is a very important aspect to bringing our world out of the climate change crisis, as we globally need to lessen our carbon footprint, and having solar power as an option is great. What's not so great is the fear that solar power may work for the first 30 years in helping climate change, but then overall ending up in a landfill polluting the world again. Even with technology processing, with a stable recycling process, it can be financially challenging for certain companies. With the ability to reuse just the personal solar panels for houses into other projects or donations, it would save us from producing more gas into the atmosphere, destroying our Earth slowly. As this video comes to a close, did you find it interesting that solar power's photovoltaic cells aren't easily recyclable? If you're interested in this type of content, please subscribe and hit the little bell to get notified when we post more videos like this. And most importantly, please hit that like button if you were entertained by the rise and fall of a solar panel's lifespan.